Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Good morning, students. Let me welcome all of you and extend a warm regards on behalf of the Unique Academy. Unique Academy has been in the domain of coaching, mentoring, and assisting students in order to prepare for the civil services examinations, including the civil services examinations conducted by UPSC, as well as the state administrative services. And as part of that, I'm glad to share a few initiatives taken up by Unique Academy since 2006. Number one, we have been conducting regular classroom teachings as part of one-year integrated batch, which contains prelims, mains, as well as the personality test or interview. Number two, we also make it a point to provide quality study material, including the material, reading material on the static part of the given subject, as well as the current and contemporary part. Number three, which is critically important, that is a rigorous answer writing practice in the form of test series and critical assessment of the same. The fourth aspect of the initiative happens to be publication of books which are dedicated for certain subjects from GS as well as optional. And last but not the least, we have been also conducting sessions in order to assist students at the level of interview, which includes obviously arranging guest lectures, including civil servants, retired as well as serving civil servants, to get an insider's point of view as far as the working of civil services is concerned. The second one, also providing, that is making available study material which can be used for preparing the interview, that is the personality test, and importantly, the mock interviews. So this is how it is through these initiatives that we have been working in the domain of coaching since 2006. I'm also glad to share a very important recent initiative taken up by the Academy. As all of us are aware of the fact that last March, that is in March 20, a national lockdown was imposed on all of us because of the COVID pandemic. Our e-learning department, which is well equipped, immediately decided to shift to the online mode. And I'm glad to share this fact with all of you that we have been conducting online batches since May 2020, which obviously includes one-year integrated batch, the three-year integrated batch for the undergraduate students, also the IS Foundation course for 10th and 12th pass-out students. And this rigorous classroom teaching program obviously contains coaching for GS on one hand, optional on the other hand, and obviously it also includes the rigorous test series. Today's webinar, that is IS Mission 2022, happens to be part and parcel of this process, wherein we as Unique Academy have been relentlessly taking up various initiatives to assist, to help the new students, the new aspirants who are serious about taking up the process of preparation for civil services examination. As part of the coming academic year, we are going to start a new batch from 24th of May, both the English medium as well as the Marathi medium batch. It would be one-year integrated batch. Obviously, since it is an integrated batch, it is going to deal with A, the GS, B, even the optionals, and last but not the least, preparing for the essay paper, which happens to be an independent paper. With this introductory note about the initiatives taken up by our academy, Unique Academy, let me now turn to the topic of today's webinar. It is, as all of you are aware of that, IAS Mission 2022. Just two small clarifications as a precautionary note right in the beginning. One, before you actually decide to go for preparing for this examination, I kindly request all of you to go for this decision on the basis of information collected through talking to your friends, the teachers, so on and so forth, which have some sort of experience as far as the civil services coaching is concerned. So a decision of yours need not be emotional or sentimental, but it should be based on a thought out process, well thought out process. That is one thing. The second thing, one should also be aware of the kind of competition which is part of the civil services examination. And if we are aware of that, it would definitely help us assist a candidate, an aspirant, in bringing clarity as far as the kind of effort which one is going to need as part and parcel of preparation for the civil services examination. So with this brief precautionary request or note, let us now turn to the topic of today's webinar. I am repeating it for the third time, IAS Mission 2022. Let me start with a brief clarification of the very title mission, that keyword of the title, the central word of the title, that is mission. What is mission? Mission is a goal which is pursued by anybody, but it requires almost a complete dedication, religious like enthusiasm, and therefore we need to look at this preparation as a mission. In other words, it is not going to be a routine and as usual process or task or action. So let us resolve right in the beginning to look at this preparation as a mission, so that we would have enough clarity in order to prepare for or in the process of preparation for the civil services examination. All of us know that IAS happens to be one of the 18 to 19 civil services for which UPSC, that is Union Public Service Commission, conducts examination every year. And that examination is known as UPSC Civil Services Examination. Number one. Number two, this is civil service in the sense it is given the task and responsibility of looking after the civil affairs of our political system. Now, with this brief introduction, let us look at it in detail. The following discussion would obviously contain a roadmap, as if a roadmap, in order to realize the dream, realize the goal, realize the mission of entering the civil services examination as early as possible, maybe in the very first attempt, in your very first attempt. What does the roadmap entail? I'll try to make it as simple as possible. The roadmap contains the following 4 broad points. The very first point, which is obviously very simple, that is getting hold of the civil services examination. Civil services examination as a competitive examination does contain 3 important phases. One is the prelims, the second happens to be the mains examination, and the last phase happens to be, or the stage happens to be, the personality test or the interview. So in the roadmap, the very first point or step to be undertaken by a newcomer happens to be getting hold of the scheme of the examination. Now, when I say getting hold of the scheme of the examination, what does it entail? Exactly. That is looking into the nature of the prelims, wherein we have 2 papers. One is the GS, one you can say, and the second paper happens to be that of the CSAT, Civil Services Aptitude Test. Each carries the weightage of 200 marks. Okay. Then comes the mains examination, which happens to be a very, very important phase in the journey of civil services examination, which is for 70, 150 marks, which contains 4 papers of GS. You have to choose one optional subject for the mains examination, which in turn includes 2 papers carrying the weightage of 250 marks each. And then you have one independent essay paper, again for 250 marks. So 4 GS papers, 2 papers of one optional subject, and 1 essay paper. So taken together, 1750 marks, that is 1750 marks. That is the weightage enjoyed by the means examination. Then comes the last phase, that is the interview, which is for 275 marks. And those candidates who get through the means examination alone are invited by the UPSC to appear for the interview. Now, getting back to the scheme, I'm just going to focus on the important peculiarities of prelims, then the mains, and then the interview. But let us focus on the first two phases, that is the prelims as well as the interview. And as I stated earlier, I'm going to be very, very brief about that. Prelims, we have two papers, as I mentioned earlier, carrying the weightage of 200 marks each. Okay, so 400. But what is the nature of the preliminary examination? So whenever we tell ourselves that we need to be aware of the peculiarity of the prelims examination, then what is the peculiarity of the prelims examination? There are four keywords. The preliminary examination is basically an objective type of examination based on multiple choice questions. It has negative marking system, and prelims basically is or essentially is a qualifying test. So objective, second, based on multiple choice questions, that is the MCQs. Third, it has negative marking system, and fourth, it is basically a qualifying test. Now, instead of going into the technical details of each aspect of its nature, let me make it very simple, keep it very, very simple. Now, if it is objective based on MCQs and negative marking system, then what kind of preparation does one need in order to get through the preliminary examination? I'll use two words. One, your preparation has to be very, very precise. It has to be very, very precise. It has to be very, very sharp, because here the format of prelims is objective based on multiple choice questions and negative marking system. It has negative marking system. So you can't say that of the four options, I'm confused between two, and let me mark two options in the form of answer. That is not allowed. All of us are aware of that. So of the four options, you have to choose only one option. So which takes us back to the kind of preparation which is required in order to get through the prelims, crack the prelims. And what is that? Precision and sharpness in one's own preparation. Along with that, you have to develop, you have to inculcate, you have to construct, okay, you have to build the retaining capacity, a very effective retaining capacity, because you will be reading so many things for the prelims, for GS and so many subjects which are part of GS on one hand, okay, and CSAT. But since CSAT is a qualifying paper, our entire focus in prelims, okay, has essentially to be on the GS. So since we are going to read a lot of stuff, data, information, one has to develop, okay, the retaining capacity, very effective retaining capacity. Now, let us turn to the means examination. The means examination, which is critically important in the civil services examination, happens to be the phase for 1750 marks. Now, what is the nature of the means examination? In one word, you can describe the nature of the means examination. It is written. What is that keyword which describes the very nature of means examination? Written in nature. That is, you have to write for all papers for 1750 marks. In GS, we have four papers, each paper carrying the weightage of 250 marks. GS 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and in each GS paper, we get to see maybe two subjects or maybe three subjects. Say, for example, in GS 1, we are talking about UPSC mains examination, UPSC civil services mains examination. GS 1, general studies paper 1, in which we have history, then geography, including world and Indian geography, and third happens to be Indian society. So these are the three subjects as if in GS 1 of UPSC civil services mains examination. Then we have in GS 2, two broad subjects. One is the polity, substantially important, and then international relations or India and world or India's foreign policy. Okay. Then in GS 3, we have economics, science and technology, and certain very important topics which are included by UPSC in the GS 3, disaster management, biodiversity, internal security, so on and so forth. In GS 4, now GS 4 is a new addition in the format of UPSC Civil Services Mains Examination since 2013. It is the ethics paper. Okay, the general nomenclature is the ethics for GS4, and that's a very interesting paper. Now, if this is the broad thematic nature of the mains examination, then what comes in, next as far as getting hold of the nature of the mains examination? There are 3-4 important aspects which acquire prominence, critical importance when one approaches the mains examination. So one is, since you have to write answers, the very first thing which becomes important in respect with mains happens to be reading question carefully and understanding the demand of the question precisely. So read question because you have to write the answer. So reading question, now our teachers and parents been telling us since let us say the first or the second standard. Okay, so reading question is very, very important. When we say reading question, then what becomes important in the act or the process of reading question? I think the keywords. There are certain keywords in UPSC mains examination question papers. So examine, evaluate, discuss, do you agree with, give your opinion, how far, to what extent, so on and so forth. So one has to have clarity, at most level of clarity when it comes to understanding all these keywords. Okay, and then obviously in each and every question, a topic, an idea, or something specific might be asked by the UPSC. Say for example, in GS2, if there is a question on Indian parliamentary system, then Indian parliamentary system would be a broad topic, but what of Indian parliamentary system? Achievements, limitations, reforms, so on and so forth. Okay, so besides keywords, what topic been asked by UPSC in each and every question also becomes important, and there is no doubt about that. So that is one thing. The second thing, the word limit. UPSC has prescribed word limit after each and every question. So in 100 words, in 125 words, 150 words, 200 words, 250 words. And as far as the essay is concerned, as I stated earlier, there is one independent essay paper in UPSC mains examination for 250 marks, in which you have to write essays on 2 topics, that is 2 essays. And the word limit given by UPSC happens to be 1000 to 1200 for one essay. Okay, so the range is 1000 to 1200 or 1000 to 1200. Okay, so this is the word limit. That is the utmost word limit, the maximum word limit as far as the essay paper is concerned. So from 100 words to 1000 to 1200 words, that's the span, that's the range which we get to see in UPSC mains examination. So word limit, and mark this aspect, think through this aspect very religiously, seriously, because even though it sounds very obvious and very simplistic on face of it, when you actually start your preparation, complete syllabus and start writing, and then as part of that, when you think of following that word limit, you really face so many difficulties. So let us keep in mind the aspect of word limit which is to be followed by all of us, and we have to ultimately develop that kind of writing style, writing skill ability, wherein we would follow the word limit literally, I would say that. Okay, and then comes the third thing, the writing ability. So one is read a question appropriately and get to the demand of the question very precisely. That is one thing which emerges as the first important thing. The second thing, the word limit, being aware of the word limit to be followed by you for each and every question. And the third thing, critically important, the ability to write and the ability to express yourself. Now, whenever we talk about the writing ability, there are 3 important aspects, and I'll get back to this later on in my next point. Okay, so you don't worry about that. Let me conclude the kind of preparation which is needed as far as the mains examination is concerned. So one is understanding of the syllabus, understanding of the elements and the sub elements of the syllabus for mains examination is no doubt important, because without understanding, we cannot proceed further as far as the means examination is concerned. So understanding is very important. But besides understanding, as I have been explaining, that the effective ability to write, express oneself, okay, also becomes equally important. So understanding and writing, this is what essential as far as the means examination is concerned. For personality test, I should not elaborate upon the same, because it is something which is to be dealt with once you get through the means examination. Okay, so my first point, uh, which is part of the roadmap to realize the dream, to realize the mission, okay, happens to be understanding the scheme of the UPSC examination. And we did it very briefly, number one. The second point of the roadmap happens to be uh, what? Something which takes us further in the journey. Okay, what is that second point? Reading syllabus of prelims as well as the mains, GS, CSAT, then GS mains, all papers, okay, then optional, and then essay. Now for essay, we do not have syllabus, formally speaking. But GS on one hand, ethics on the other hand, as far as the prelims is concerned. And for mains, all 4 GS papers and 2 papers of optional. Okay, so UPSC has given syllabus for both stages, preliminary examination on one hand and the mains examination on the other hand. So whatever syllabus is given by UPSC, we should read that thrice, maybe 4 times, write it down, okay, so that we will have at least a primary idea about the scope of things to be prepared by a candidate, okay, or prepared by us, let us say. So getting hold of syllabus, reading it, understanding it also becomes very, very important. And this happens to be the this happens to be the second point, which is quite obvious and very simple. Point number 2. Now the third point, which is part of the roadmap, is what? Looking into the previous year question papers. Looking into the previous year question papers. Now this is very, very important. For prelims, the present format was adopted in 2011, and for the means examination, the format was adopted in 2013. For preliminary examination, you can rely on a recently published book written by Saurabh Kumar, who happens to be an IFS officer, and the name of the book happens to be Prelims Simplified. This book can be relied on in order to look into the previous year question papers of prelims, including GS on one hand and the CSAT on the other hand. But GS happens to be the core of the book, and you can definitely rely on that. And for mains examination, you can take up material, any book by any publication, to just go through the earlier mains question paper from 2013 till 2020. GS 1, 2, 3, 4, optional if you have selected the optional. Otherwise, let us keep aside that, but you can make it a point to go through the GS mains papers from 2013 to 2020. And obviously also make it a point to look into the essays, the topics which are part and parcel of the essay paper from 2013. So looking into earlier question papers happens to be another key aspect of the roadmap. So now students, let me conclude the very first point, that is the primary preparation as part of the roadmap, which in turn includes getting hold of the schema of the examination. Okay. Second, looking into the syllabus. Third, previous year question papers. Okay. And last but not the least, as part of concluding the first point, happens to be having a reliable and authentic reference list. And when I say reference list, I'll just point out only 3 elements of the reference list. One is the NCERT books. Okay. Second happens to be one standard reference book for each subject. Okay. As far as our scheme is concerned. And the third happens to be maybe 1 or 2 newspapers, and similarly 1 or 2 journals in order to prepare for the current and contemporary events. So getting hold of the scheme of the examination, looking into syllabus, also analyzing the previous year question papers, the kind of questions which are asked on various topics as part of various subjects, various papers. And then last but not the least, the reference list. So this happens to be the first broad point with 4 sub-elements as far as the roadmap is concerned. Number 1. Now, number 2, let us move on to the second major point or second major element of the roadmap to achieve the mission. What is that? Planning. When I say planning, it means the following things, and I'm assuming certain things here. Okay. Number 1, I am assuming here you are thinking about writing this examination in 2022. इसका मतलब ये होगा, it means you would have 1 full year in order to prepare for the examination. Number 1. Number 2, I'm also assuming that since you are thinking about writing this examination in 2022, you would be a full-timer. Okay, you would be preparing for the civil services examination full-time as a full-timer, which means you can set a target of studying for or preparing for 10 to 11 hours a day. This is the second one. Now the third one, if we have 12 months, then we can divide the 12 months, and this is, I'm sharing as a rule of thumb, 8 months in order to prepare for the mains examination, and the remaining 4 months in order to cater to the preliminary examination. This is a general pattern which is followed, okay, as a rule of thumb. So 8 months for mains and 4 months to prepare for the preliminary examination. The fourth thing, you have to come up with a macro plan and a micro plan. So macro of 12 months and micro, okay, of 1 day, a week, a month, so on and so forth. Okay, so macro on one hand and the micro on the other hand. Okay, fourth point. Now the fifth point. You have to looking into the kind of weightage which is given to the GS, whether it is prelims and especially mains. You have to at least dedicate 65%, 60 to 65% of your time slot in order to prepare for the GS subject. I'm putting it in a very general sense, general manner, crudely. 60 to 65% of your time slot to be utilized in order to prepare for the GS, because as I mentioned earlier, out of 1,750 100 marks. So look at the weightage which is enjoyed by the GS. So इसका मतलब ये हुआ that you have to utilize 65% of your time slot in order to prepare for the GS subject, whether it is prelims or whether it is mains. Then you have to think of using at least 35% of time slot in order to prepare for the optional subject. I'm talking about the GS schedule. Okay, I'm talking about the main schedule. So 65% for the GS mains and 35% in order to prepare for the optional subject, which happens to be part of the mains examination. And to begin with, you have to think of writing at least one essay, maybe in 1 month, okay, in 4 weeks to begin with, then subsequently in 3 weeks, then subsequently in 2 weeks, and then ultimately you must be in a position to write one essay, at least one essay in a week. Okay, so this is how one can approach writing essay, that is preparing for the essay and writing the essay. So this is another aspect of the planning. Then you have to come up with a daily plan, and then you have to come up with a weekly plan. Okay, daily plan and weekly plan. Now, as part of daily plan, you can divide your day in 3 broad parts. One can be the substantial part for the GS. The second smaller part can be for optional. Okay, so 65%, maybe 6 hours a day for GS, then 3 to 4 hours for optional, and the remaining slot of 2 to 3 hours in order to prepare for the current events, maybe reading one newspaper. Okay, so this is just one format. You need not literally follow this format. There can be another format wherein you can come up with only two slots in a day. So 7 to 8 hours studying GS subject, okay, and then 2 to 3 hours preparing for the current event. Only two slots of a day. So you would be studying GS on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or maybe Thursday. So 4 days per day, 7 hours studying GS, preparing GS. And then Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you can definitely think of using 7 hours a day as a slot in order to prepare for the optional subject. So that can be another format. So instead of dividing a day, you can think of, as part of the second format, you can think of dividing the week. So maybe 4 days, 3 days. Even you can say, now let me keep aside one day, that is the Sunday from a week, to revise each and everything, and let me utilize only 6 days of a week. Okay, so 3 days for GS, okay, or maybe 3.5 days for GS, and the remaining 2.5 days for optional subject. So there can be many formats, but the point is, the simple point is, you have to come up with a daily timetable and a weekly timetable. So that is the simple point as far as the planning is concerned. But students, you need not be worried about the planning process right in the beginning, because number one, once you are well acquainted with the scheme of the examination, once you actually start your preparation, slowly and steadily, you will get to know about various aspects of the planning process. Okay, so this is what we have to think about right in the beginning as part and parcel of the planning process. Okay, so one, the primary activities, including the 4 aspects, sub-elements, which happen to be the first broad point of the roadmap. The second point, which I dealt with very briefly, happens to be the planning. Now the third one, which happens to be critically important as far as today's webinar is concerned, the preparation. Okay, the actual preparation, the actual study. Now let me repeat the earlier points. Which are those points? Number one, look, we are aware of the scheme of the examination. We are fully in control of the syllabus, that is in the sense of knowing it well. Then we have also seen the earlier question papers, read the earlier question papers, analyzed the earlier question papers, and we have, okay, authentic and reliable reference list with us. That is one point. The second point, we have also thought about the planning, and we are also aware of few primary aspects of the planning process, which we just discussed. Now move on to the third point of the roadmap, okay, to achieve this mission of entering the civil services, civil services, cracking this examination, and then entering the civil services as early as possible. Now, preparation. Now, when I say preparation, then let us jot it down in terms of the sub points. The very first sub point happens to be, as part of preparation, one has to start preparation for civil services examination with the mains preparation. Okay, so as I stated earlier, as part of the planning process, you have to think of utilizing 8 months in order to prepare for the mains examination, because the mains examination happens to be the significant aspect of the civil services examination. So full 8 months in order to prepare for the civil services examination. Number one, so your preparation is going to begin with the mains preparation. Okay, and when I say mains preparation, what all do we have in the mains examination? We have 4 GS papers, we have 2 papers of 1 optional subject, then we have 1 essay paper. So I'm just focusing on, as part of mains examination, 3 broad elements of the mains examination: 1 GS, 2nd optional, and 3rd happens to be the essay paper. Okay, now this is clear. The first point is clear. We have to start off our preparation with the mains examination. Number 2, what is to be done right in the beginning whenever we talk of or think of taking up preparation? You are supposed to start from reading NCERTs. Okay, so your preparation must begin with NCERT. In other words, let me put the same thing in a different manner, in different words. Conceptual clarity. Okay, in preparation of each and every subject, be it history, geography, economy, polity, IR, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. Your preparation should focus on conceptual understanding. And I think in order to get hold of concepts from each and every subject, the best source happens to be the NCERT books. On our Telegram channel, we have uploaded the reference list, which includes the NCERT books. That is, which NCERT books from which standard are to be read for each and every subject, for history, for geography, so on and so forth. So reading NCERT, okay, and it is through reading NCERT that you are going to get hold of the conceptual part of the preparation. That is each and every subject. So read NCERT. While reading it, do underline the important concepts, read those concepts again and again, because conceptual clarity happens to be the foundation of the preparation for civil services examination. And I'm repeating it again, you can fully rely on the NCERT books, and you would not require much of your time to get hold of the NCERTs. Okay. Number two, once you get hold of NCERT, that is the conceptual part, you are supposed to slip into reading at least one standard reference book for each and every subject. For history, we have Bipan Chandra's India's Struggle for Independence, or another book published by Spectrum, Modern India. For uh, Indian Polity written by M. Lakshmikant, published by McGraw-Hill. So this is how you can turn to reading one standard book for each and every subject: history, geography, polity, economy, science and tech, ethics, so on and so forth. So now if you look at the standard reference book, now standard reference book is that reference material which deals with the given subject, whether it is history or geography, with all its dimensions. So therefore, the reference books are quite bulky, they are quite comprehensive, and discusses almost the entire syllabus of the given subject in the given reference book. So we will get to see or come across lot of information, tons of facts, maybe data, explanatory part as far as the given subject is concerned, lot of analysis as far as the given subject is concerned. So a lot of stuff, it's something which we are going to come across while reading a standard book. And there might be a case that for certain subjects, for certain topics from the syllabus, okay, you would require to go for maybe a second reference or maybe a third reference. But even in this case, you shouldn't be worried, because your substantial reliance would be on the first reference book. Okay. And for second and third, you can go for a selective reading. So even if you are supposed to go for second reference, okay, you would do that in a very selective manner. You would be required to read that second or third reference for just few topics, few selected topics. You shouldn't be worried about that. Okay. But as I stated earlier, reading standard reference book is compulsory. Okay, it is through that process that you are going to consolidate that subject so that you can empower yourself to write the mains examination. Okay, and processing material from the reference book, one standard reference book, becomes very, very important. Now, processing means what? You would be reading that book for the first time, and while reading that book for the first time, you would underline that. You would go for reading the same reference book second time, and then you would highlight probably the most important point. Okay, so this is how you would process the standard reference book, initially by underlining important points, later on by highlighting the most important point, and then ultimately, okay, while reading the same stuff reference book for the third time, you can definitely think of making micro notes. Okay, so this is the kind of process of, or the technique of processing standard reference book is to be followed by each one of us. So multiple readings of standard reference book is what required as part and parcel of the strategy. And the third thing in the process of preparation, which is to be taken care of, that is also getting hold of the current and contemporary aspects of various subjects. Now, say in Indian polity, that is Indian constitution and Indian political system, a lot, okay, does take place in regard with our parliament, our central government, state government, governor, political parties, elections, okay, election commission, so on and so forth. In geography and environment, okay, so many developments do take place on regular basis. Okay, maybe a calamity, natural, human made, okay, then the management of that disaster, various initiatives by government, okay, at local level, at regional level, at the international level, so on and so forth. So in economy, we would be having economic survey, then the budget, various schemes, okay, then important developments in the domain of Indian economy, even in the domain of global economy, science and tech, important developments, current developments, contemporary development. So students, as part of your preparation, you are supposed to get hold of the current events. Okay, and I'll speak about that a bit in detail, for which you would be reading, at least you would require to read at least one newspaper by giving 2 hours a day initially. So maybe Hindu and then maybe Express. One journal, either Kurukshetra or Yojana. Okay. And then there may be monthly roundups published by so many websites. You can be very, very selective, but I would advise, rather come up with a kind request to all of you that to begin with, current preparation, that is your current preparation, must start with reading newspaper in a meticulous manner, in a religious manner. So give 2 hours a day, and whatever part of paper you could manage to complete in the given slot of 2 hours, do not be worried about that. So initially you would be just in a position to go through 2 pages, then eventually 3 pages, 4 pages, whatever it is. But reading newspaper on regular basis, at least for 2 hours, is must, okay, as part of the preparation. So consolidating the concepts, getting hold of the various aspects of the syllabus of each and every subject through reading the standard reference book, processing the stuff from the standard reference book, and then also keeping track of the current and contemporary developments. So these happens to be, these 3 aspects happens to be the part and parcel of the preparation of the study process. That is one thing. The second thing, you should think of making micro notes for the means examination, because you would be reading so many references, including concepts, including data, including facts, okay, analysis, so on and so forth, examples, cases, experiments, so on and so forth. So if you are going to read the diverse kind of material, okay, with diverse elements, then it would be very, very difficult to keep revisiting that material as it is in its original form. So therefore, it is generally advised to come up with micro notes. So when I say micro notes, it means number one, do not think of micro notes before reading anything at least twice. So that is one condition. The second one, since the notes are to be micro, okay, follow that literally, short notes I am saying. So the micro notes are to be short, and they are to be very, very precise and sharp. This is point number 2. Point number 3, you can leave a blank space if you are using a page. So divide that page into 2 parts, okay, and on right part, keep on preparing and writing down the micro notes, and leave the right side of the page, the right half side of the page blank. So while revising your micro notes, if you find something new, you can make it a point to add those points on the left side of the page. So micro notes is going to be critically important, and students, please always remember that this is going to be critically important for 2 purposes. One, to revise a lot of syllabus, okay, in less amount of time. And second thing, to get hold of and retain every important point from a topic. So revising the comprehensive syllabus in minimum amount of time. And number two, retaining each and every point and thereby ensuring that your answer is going to consist of all those points. So this is a very important purpose which can be served by the practice of making micro notes. Okay. Then the another important aspect of your preparation has to be or is the revision. Revision acquires critical importance in the entire journey, be it prelims, be it mains, and even the interview or the personality test. Because as you know for sure that the syllabus is very comprehensive. There are a number of subjects for which we have to go through various reference books and multiple times. Okay, so obviously consolidating each and every part of syllabus, retaining that, okay, is going to require a very systematic technique of habit of revision or revising each and everything from our syllabus. So you can develop the technique of revising everything on daily basis in a slot of 30 minutes to 40 minutes. So daily revision before you go to sleep. The second, if you divide week in 3 and 3 days, let us say, and keep aside one day, that is a Sunday, in order to revise whatever you would be reading from Monday to Saturday. So first slot of 3 days and the another slot of 3 days. While you complete the first slot, you can keep reserve a slot of 2 hours in order to revise the stuff which you might have read. And then the Sunday, that is one entire day from a week, can be definitely kept for revising everything. So revision on daily basis. Number two, a slot of 2 hours can be taken from, okay, one part of the week, and similarly another slot of 2 hours can be taken from another slot of week. Okay, and then one day, one full day can be reserved in order to revise whatever you are going to read from Monday to Saturday. So and you shouldn't be worried about as far as the technique of revision is concerned or techniques of revision are concerned, because eventually as you start your preparation, okay, and move ahead, you would develop definitely your own peculiar techniques of revising whatever you will be reading. But revision does play a very significant part. And if we could process material well, if we could follow the method of generating micro notes in a systematic manner, then the task of revising each and everything effectively shall be at one level taken automatically care of. Okay, so process properly, make micro notes in a very systematic manner, and that would definitely help you in the domain of revising each and everything and consolidating every part of the syllabus. Now the last aspect of the preparation. Now what is that last aspect of the preparation? Since I'm talking about the means examination, the last aspect happens to be the answer writing practice. Once you finish a chapter, say from history, from geography, from polity, or for that matter any subject, as you finish a chapter, you look into the questions asked by UPSC on the given chapter, and you may get to see 1 or 2 questions, maybe 3 questions, depending upon the nature of the chapter and importance or significance of the chapter in the given subject. So select that question asked by UPSC on the given chapter in earlier year. Okay, now you have completed the preparation of what? The given chapter. So you read it from all sources, you revised the stuff, you made micro notes, you also revised the micro notes, and now you are thinking about writing answer of say 1 question or maybe 2 questions on the given chapter. Now initially you would find it difficult initially, because you will have to once again go through every stuff, okay, on the given chapter, revise everything once again, and then you will have to write your introduction, then the main body of your answer and then the conclusion. So since you are not generally habitual of writing answers in this format, you are going to confront certain difficulties. But by exposing oneself to constant answer writing practice, that we can redress the difficulties which we might face when it comes to writing answers. So complete a chapter and try to answer few questions on the given chapter. You can initially go for open book test. So all references keeping right in front of you, looking into certain points and selecting points from this source, the another source, even micro notes, and then evolving the framework of the answer. So open book test can be the initial format, can be a format in the initial phase. But then eventually what would happen, you would develop the potential, the ability to write test, the way in which you want. As if you are sitting in an examination hall and you have now the question paper right in front of you, and as if you are writing the UPSC examination. But writing answers or answer writing practice is going to play a critical role. But then there are certain precautions. One, unless and until you prepare that chapter, you are not advised to think of writing answers. So that is one thing. The second one, whenever we think of writing answers, we have to always keep in mind three aspects. So one is the content. So we have to have enough content, appropriate content, in order to write answers. So content, it can be a concept, it can be some static part of a subject, it can be a current contemporary event. So the content, depending upon the nature of question, that we have to include the content, develop the content and include the content. So content, that is the subject matter. The second aspect of writing answers or answers is or has to be the ability to articulate precisely, let me put it simply, the language. So the language dimension happens to be the second aspect of the writing answers. So the first is the content, which is critically important. The second happens to be the language part, the articulation part. This is the second one. Now, when we say language, what does the aspect of language contain or include? So let the language be very simple. Number one. Number two, make it a point to use appropriate words, key terms, pertaining the given subject. Number three, every sentence must have utmost level of clarity. Grammatically correct sentences. You have to maintain flow and coherence as far as each and every sentence and paragraph of your answer is concerned. So this is how we can take note of the language part of answer, number two. Number three, the last aspect of answer writing or answer per se happens to be the presentation. You must have heard a lot about writing answers. That is, should we write answers in a para format? Or should we write answers by following a pointed format, that is 1, 2, 3, 4. So which of the two is to be followed? Now there is no hard and fast rule. It ultimately depends upon the nature of question, the demand of the question, and the topic which is asked in the given question. So few answers can be written in a para format and few other answers can be written definitely in a pointed format. So you shouldn't be worried about that. So whenever we think of presentation, so presentation in para format, presentation in pointed format. Now there are other aspects of presentation. You can use different techniques. You can use flowchart, you can use pie chart, you can use graphics, you can use map, so that the given answer, that is the answer of the given question, can be qualitatively different and very, very precise, innovative in comparison with other candidates. As I referred to right in the beginning, we have a cutthroat competition in the domain of civil services examination. And this examination also happens to be dynamic in nature. Now, if these are the two aspects of the civil services examination, then in every department of writing answers, be it the content, be it the language dimension, and the third, which we were talking about, the presentation dimension. So innovation would definitely pay off. It would play a significant part in making your answer way different from, qualitatively different from other candidates. So students, we have to pay attention to all these three aspects of answers or writing answers. And I think there are only two ways of ensuring the three aspects of effective writing answer. Now, which are those two ways? One is keep reading the quality stuff, quality material, reference books continuously. Okay, so read it. So reading is one method, one way of, okay, improvising one's own writing skill. And number two, a constant practice of writing. Now, initially, the writing would be taken care of by the practice of making micronotes, as I stated earlier. So once you start reading for the first time, you would underline. Then if you read the same stuff for the second time, you can use highlighter. And then I'm putting it in a very general sense. You need not follow this literally. And while reading the same material for the third time, that is revising for the second time and reading for the third time, you can at that level think of making micronotes. So reading for 3 times would definitely help you in grasping the content of the given subject from the given reference. Okay, definitely, undoubtedly. And then at that point, if you come up with the practice of making micronotes, I think writing practice would be taken care of at one level. So initially, the practice of the process of the exercise of making micronotes can be certainly seen as the initial method of what developing, building the effective writing style. And as I stated even earlier, as we complete each and every chapter from given subject, we can go for the questions asked by the UPSC, okay, and try to answer those questions. So let me sum up the third point, which happens to be the crux of the preparation for civil services examination. I said consolidate the concepts from each and every subject. Second, also get hold of the standard reference books in order to consolidate the comprehensive nature of the given subject. Okay, so conceptual clarity has to be in place, and besides conceptual clarity, you have to consolidate each and every aspect of the given subject through the standard reference book. Lot of information, factual part, analytical part, explanatory part, data, so on and so forth. And then you have to link up that to the current and contemporary dimension. So respectively, for this part of the preparation, you will have to go through NCERT, then one standard book, maybe at least one standard book, and then maybe 1 or 2 newspapers along with 1 or 2 magazines. Okay. And then I talked about making micronotes. And then the last point was, the previous one was the revision one, and the last was writing answers. Okay. So this is what we have to keep in mind as part and parcel of the process, preparation or the actual study. Okay. Now let me slip into the last part of today's presentation. Now, what is that last part? Just a moment. So students, there is no doubt that once you get hold of the scheme of the examination, collect the authentic reference list, go through the earlier question papers and take up the actual preparation, keeping in mind all those aspects which we just discussed. Now, certainly you are going to face number of challenges in achieving your dream in the process of preparation, that is the roadmap. And I'm at the end of my presentation today going to refer to and discuss few challenges which are going to be very, very significant. The first obvious challenge would be formulating and executing appropriate plan, okay, in order to prepare for the civil services. So you have to make a plan and execute the same plan very effectively. Now, how to evolve plan, okay, may be a critical question. But let me answer this saying that once you are aware of the scheme of the examination, and as you move ahead as far as the preparation of the civil services examination is concerned, the exercise of or the challenge of formulating plan and subsequently executing that plan effectively would be a much easier exercise. So yes, this is going to be a tough task, going to be the first challenge, but that can be dealt with, that can be addressed, okay, if we follow whatever we have been talking since last 40 or 50 minutes. Number one. Number two, you have to ensure consistency in your preparation. You must have heard this from toppers, from teachers, from different institutions, so on and so forth. But consistency is a must, and therefore it emerges as second challenge, how to ensure of consistency. I would say if you are well aware of the kind of competition we get to see in this domain and the dynamic nature of this examination and the vast material and lot of efforts which you have to put in the process of preparation, then you need not ask a question as to how should I ensure of consistency in my preparation. If you are aware of all these challenging aspects, then you would make it a point to see to it that you are going to put in consistent, regular, and continuous, relentless effort in the process. Okay, that's the second point. The third one, you have to be very, very focused and dedicated. Now, we have used a word called as mission, and mission as a goal requires what kind of effort? Not general effort, not routine effort, okay, not usual efforts, but something more than usual, dedicated effort, a focused effort, okay, focused effort, dedicated efforts. It's like a mission. You have to undertake that, execute that, and complete that almost in a religious zeal. You have to do it in a very religious manner. So dedication is must. Now again the question would be how to ensure dedication. Now again I would say the same thing. I would get back to the same peculiarity of this domain of civil services examination. If you are aware of the kind of competition we are going to confront, if we are fully aware of the kind of dynamic nature of this examination, and then if we are fully aware of the kind of efforts which this examination require on our part as a candidate, then you won't have any option but to stay focused and dedicated in your effort. Okay. Another challenge which emerges as the obvious challenge happens to be managing two important elements of the mains examination. So one broad element happens to be the GS and the other happens to be the optional. Okay. For a beginner, I would advise that initially you can focus on, okay, the GS. And as you complete substantial part of GS, simultaneously you can keep thinking about the optional. You can select the optional, and then eventually you can routinize your process, which may include a dedicated slot for GS on one hand and optional on the other hand. But it really happens to be a balancing act as far as the preparation is concerned. So GS, number of papers, number of subjects on one hand, and even for optional, because optional, even though is for 500 marks, there are two papers, and there is quite a vast syllabus, even if you take any optional. So the syllabus is very comprehensive, and you have to manage that along with the GS. And let us not forget the third component which you have to manage, that is the essay paper. You have to keep track of essay paper. There is no doubt about that. Another challenge during the process of preparation happens to be how to balance between the static part on one hand and the current part on the other hand. Initially, I would advise the students, you do focus on taking care of and consolidating the static part from geography, from polity, okay, from whatever subjects we have, economy, so on and so forth. Okay, so initially our substantial focus has to be on the static part, the conventional part, the traditional part. And on the other hand, right from day one, let us say, you think of preparing for the current event by just reading one newspaper for 2 hours. Okay, even though initially the slot of 2 hours is not going to be sufficient for you. I'm absolutely well aware of the fact that a slot of 2 hours in order to take care of current events is not going to be sufficient. But as I stated earlier, since initially our focus would be and has to be on the static part, you shouldn't be worried much about getting hold of the current event. You just go through the newspapers and keep track of major happenings and developments as part of the contemporary developments. That's it. But as you go on consolidating the static part from the GS subjects, say after 3 months, after 4 months, okay, you would be better placed. I'm repeating it. You would be better placed to make appropriate sense of the current material. Okay, so initially I'm repeating it once again. Initially do focus on the static part portion and subjects from your syllabus. Okay, and for sake of convenience, just give a slot of 2 hours in order to take care of the current events. And then after 3-4 months, you would be better placed to get hold of, keep track, okay, in a very effective manner of the current events. And after 4 or 5 months, you can definitely think of increasing the slot for preparing the current events. So 3 hours, maybe 4 hours. Okay, but yes, this is going to be a tricky act as far as the preparation is concerned. How to balance between the current on one hand, the static on one hand and the current on the other hand. Another important challenge happens to be building, evolving, developing analytical ability. So students, if you check out the earlier question papers of prelims as well as the mains, okay, including GS optional, I'm taking both of them together, prelims and mains as well, both prelims as well as mains. You would find that the questions, even for prelims and no doubt even from mains, expect or demand analytical ability from the candidates. Okay, analytical ability. And analytical ability can be developed by exposing oneself to reading the authentic material, including the standard reference book, keeping track of the current events, and thinking through whatever you are going to read, okay, as part of the reading material. So read it, okay, revise it, and reflect on that. See, this is not any other this is not a routine thing for us. This is a dynamic examination, and since it is dynamic, it demands analytical ability from each and every student. And analytical ability can only be developed if we become habitual of reflecting on whatever we are reading, thinking in a deeper way. So whatever we read, let us make it a point to think about that. Is it so? Why is it so? Okay, so on and so forth. So let us not take anything for granted. Let us keep on thinking, reflecting, thinking in a critical manner, and that habit would definitely help you in evolving, in developing the analytical ability. So that is again very, very important. The next challenge which becomes critically important in respect with mains, and I refer to that as part of the preparation, happens to be developing another ability. And what is that ability? Effective writing skill or effective writing ability. So content, the language part, and the presentation part. And I'll briefly say, keep reading, okay, continuously, keep thinking continuously, practice writing on regular basis. So writing practice on regular basis, initially in the form of making micronotes, and then subsequently in the form of answering questions on completed chapters. Okay, the chapters which you have already prepared. So this is how you can definitely think of developing, building the effective writing skill or ability. Uh, Students, look, each one of us or each one of you is going to see to it that all these aspects would be in place and taken care of as part of the preparation. And then I'm taking you to another challenge and another important part, that is innovativeness. Okay, so everybody is going to take care of all these essential aspects in the preparation, but while managing all these aspects, you have to, on the other hand, make sure that you are going to what? You are going to bring something new, novel to the table. Now, what is new? What is novel? What is innovative? Okay, I cannot define it right now in a technical manner, in a literal manner. But I would say you keep in mind right from beginning that whatever stuff I am going to do as part of the preparation, I have to also think about, can I bring something new to the process? Okay, and I think the critical thinking ability and the analytical ability would impart you the ability to look around you in a novel manner. Okay, and this is how the aspect of innovativeness can definitely be ensured of. And last but not the least, while doing all these things, you have to be very, very patient. Okay. And students, while concluding this session, let me repeat once again that we as Unique Academy have been assisting students, and we have been very glad to assist students in various ways. And as part of that assistance, we are coming up with a new batch, which is going to start from 24th of May, both in English as well as Marathi medium. That batch would be in a hybrid mode, that is online as well as offline mode. Okay, so as things get to normal, and if we are permitted, allowed to conduct classes offline, we'll be doing the same thing. Secondly, you shouldn't be worried about the class notes, because we have been uploading class notes through the Google Classroom. And the third important thing, even if initially we are going to start off this batch in online mode, we follow the Zoom platform, which is as good as like a physical classroom. Okay, except the physical one. You can, so the sessions are live. Okay, you can interact with your faculty through the chat box. And after every session, we keep reserve a slot of 20 minutes, 25 minutes to, for question and answer session. So even if this is going to be an online mode, you shouldn't be worried about, okay, your preparation. Last but not the least, see, UPSC has been very, very religious, meticulous about following its schedule. Okay, the interview are going on, and the first interview is going to start from 27th of April, for which the mains examination was conducted in month of January. Okay, and the prelims, which was postponed, did take place on 4th of October. So even if we are going through a COVID pandemic, UPSC has been following its timetable, okay, with just few changes in a meticulous manner. So it becomes essential on part of aspirants and students to not keep aside the regular preparation process and wait for things to get normalized. Instead of doing that, what we are expected to is to focus on one's own effort and start preparing for whatever you are going to decide. Keeping in mind this process, that we have come up with this kind of initiative, and we will be very, very glad to assist you in every kind of effort. So with these words, let me stop here. And I wish all of you the very best. Thank you.